You know, it's really easy to catch the narcissist. Look at that. Night shift. Something films. You know that person's lost just by the thing on their windshield. You can tell lost people a mile away, really. Just by the things they worship down here. If you worship something down here, you're probably lost. You're probably not saved. Anyway, how to catch a narcissist, really easy. So when you go into something, anything, take your time and understand that in God's created order, that He reveals things over time. And so pay attention. Pay attention to I went outside barefoot. Pay attention to your surroundings. So let's say you're dealing with a narcissist, right? So you're dealing with a narcissist. And the first little bit of time, there's a lot of communication, there's a lot of just time spent, and you're like, oh, okay, it's called love bombing, right? So spend a lot of time with you. Let me roll that window over. They spend a lot of time with you, right? And they get to know you and spend time with you. I don't know if that'll help or not. I guess not. Let me cut the car off. Put the AC on. Every time I start to do a good video, I mean a really powerful video, I get dogs barking, I get ambulances, I get all kinds of weird stuff happening. This is really important. I'm going to show you how to catch a narcissist really easy. So you're dealing with a narcissist. What do? Love bomb, future fake, pull you in, right? It's like fishing. They're fishing, right? And so once they think they got you on the hook, that you fell in love or whatever, and then once they think you're in love, and I think one of the reasons they probably start to dehumanize you after you think you fell in love, it's because they think you don't love me because you don't even know who I am. They're bitter at you because that fake persona they put up, you fell in love with a fake persona, and they're mad at you, so they got to dehumanize you because you're so stupid to fall in with something, an actress or somebody who's not even real. So that's why they hate you, because they see you fall in love with somebody who's not real. So they're actually jealous of you being in love with that actor. Oh, that's why that dog was barking. And notice the truck's red too. So let's think about this. So then, but you think it's real love, right? You're in love with an actress or actor. And so they're mad because you're in love with somebody that's not them, because the real them you wouldn't love, and they know it, and they tell you early on that nobody really likes me. And my first wife, she says, how come everybody likes you? I said, because I'm genuine. Because she was always trying to win friends and influence people. She was just putting on a show to get people to like her, but if they really knew her, they wouldn't like her. That was my first wife. Anyway, so then when they dehumanize you and you go away, they start to target this other one. Now they're having conversations deep with this other one, so they might give you a little breadcrumb here and there, like a 5-minute conversation, but it's usually negative and bad talk and all that. So then they start on this other one, and they're having conversation, they're learning that person. If that fish takes hold and that fish falls in love with them or whatever, then they stay with that. But a lot of times that next one doesn't stick, and they go to the third one, right? So they go to this one over here. So they got three of them. This one might be just this one might be a narcissist too, where they're breadcrumbing them. But this other one, they might have got somebody. Now think about it. They had conversations with you. they kind of cut you to the side. They had conversations with this one, and then they had conversations with this one. And they start to forget who is who. And so when they come back to you, you say something, well, you said this, and they don't remember. Now think about what's happening to their mind and their spirit and their soul. They've lied to this one. They've lied to this one. They've lied to this one. They can't remember everything they future faked you with. They only future fake you with things they think you want. They future fake this one. They had to learn what they wanted. And they future fake this one to learn what they wanted. Now think about this. Yeah. That guy needs to get a haircut. Anyway. Look, as soon as people are a trip. So they're future faking this one. They throw you into the side, give you a little bit of breadcrumbs, because the fish bit and believed they were in love with a fake person. Then they future fake this one. That one thinks they're in love. They future fake this one. They think they're in love. Now they told future faking lies to this one, and this one. Now what does the Bible say about a liar? What does the Bible say about somebody who gets older in their older age that becomes silly? They contradict themselves. They can't remember. They've lied to so many people that they lie to themselves. So when they kind of want to come back to you, they've had so many conversations with this one and this one trying to hook the fish that you come back here, you still remember the conversation because you're not a narcissist. You were just talking to a person you thought was real. They come back to you and you're saying, well, you said this, especially if you take notes. You said this. No, I didn't. What are you talking about? They can't even remember what you talked about because they've had conversation with this one and maybe another one, and they don't even remember the conversation. So that's what I said. If you let it go over time, it don't have to break your heart because it was a fake person. When you realize and you take this, so that fake person was right there, but you thought it was real. And then you take your hand, put your hand there, and you hit your hand. That was fake. Fake reality, fake person. They're not real, they're not real, they're not real, they're not real, they're not real. And this one here isn't wise to narcissism. And this one over here isn't wise to narcissism. So you get free. They're still stuck because they want to believe the lie. So the narcissist is trying to break you into a fake reality bubble. And you have to wake yourself out of it because you think as an empath that who in their right mind would live that way. But if you go back in time, maybe when you were 18 or 17, 18, 20, and you were ignorant about this thing, you might have had a girlfriend that you were talking to here, and one you were talking to here, and one you were talking to here, but you might have been dating one of them, and you forget the conversation you had, and she takes off, thought it was love of your life. She saw through your games. And so you're just getting karma back 20 years later, something you did when you were a teenager and you didn't know it was wrong, But once a person gets saved, they know that future faking, gaslighting, any kind of lie is wrong. And if you really realize maybe that was God showing you something when you were younger or something you did to somebody, and you repent and you're free. So not only was that person fake, it might have been God spanking you for something you did 20, 30 years ago, And so you don't have to be mad at the narcissist. You just know that those people exist. And those people are still in the flesh mind, and they haven't stepped into the spirit mind. Because if you remember, before you got saved, you did some crazy stuff too. And so because they're not saved, they've lived their whole life, and they haven't stepped into the spirit mind, you can forgive them like that. Go on down the street. Thank God for your wisdom. Thank God for you using enough wisdom to take notes. You remember the reason you can remember. They come back in 6 months, right? Thinking that you forgot what you talked about. They always hang themselves. They come back 6 months later, even a year later, and you still have the notes and you remember. So they destroyed this relationship with you. They destroyed this relationship with this one, because what happens is the liar starts to believe their own lies. Their mind becomes corrupt. And so the neural pathways, they just become master liars. If somebody has lied their whole life, they can lie on a dime. But they forget what they said to this one, 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 to this one. And so they come back to you a month later, year later, 6 months later, whatever. And you're saying, yeah, remember this? And you didn't do that with them. Yeah, we did. We did this. No. What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, that was somebody else. It wasn't me. And so they destroy this relationship. They destroy this relationship. They destroy this relationship. And the reason they keep doing it, they're mad because you don't understand them. And if you knew the real person, you never would have loved them anyway. But why are they being fake? They betrayed you from the get-go by being a fake person. Let me say it again. They betrayed you from the get-go by being fake, but they were mad at you for loving a fake person and thought you were gullible because they were actors. And so because they betrayed you and being narcissism, they have to project it onto you because they can't see what they're doing is wrong because nobody's ever called them out on it, and people who can see through them. And so you hit your hand like when you were in school, take a ruler and hit your hand, and it reminds you it was fake. They were fake. They were actors. And the reason they can't remember the conversation you had 6 months ago or 3 months ago or whatever, it's because they were having a conversation with this one, and they mix the people up. They don't see you as a human individual. They see you as just a tree, like an object. Remember in the Bible, it talks about a man was blind and Jesus covered his eyes and he could see a figurine, and then he did it again and he could see the tree. He saw the man like a walking tree, and then Jesus put stuff on his eyes again, and he saw humans. He could see clearly. So a lot of these narcissists, they see you as an object. You're no different than the next one and the next one, and they look at you as objects. They don't have any awareness of reality because the devil has blinded them. But remember, before you got saved, you used to be the same way. You would see people as objects to take stuff from. It's hard to remember those days, I know. But there was a time where you just saw people as objects and you just used them as like an object. Like if you use that car or that whatever, that mattress or that whatever, or that tire, they were just objects to use. And eventually, hopefully by the grace of God, they'll get convicted and get saved and wake up, and then God will clean their eyes and they'll see a human being instead of an object. And then maybe God will anoint their eyes again, and instead of just seeing a human being, they see a human being with a soul and a spirit, and they're actually real human beings. But they see you as an object and an object and an object to be used and abused for their pleasure or for their money or for whatever. And so instead of seeing the human as something just to vampire off of, they get saved and see the human as a human, you know. Long story short, this is how you get over it like this. Remember what you were before you got saved, and remember, forgive them. They know not what they do. They're blind. They're just following the hive mind. They're following the culture lie, the bloodline. They've learned this from somebody, and they think it's normal. And they get a kick out of it. When they fool you, they get a kick out of it. They think you're a fool. You're an idiot. You believe that. I put on a show and you really fell for that. You know, it's really sad. It's a sad state of affairs. If they would just get saved and get right with God, I think, you know, once a person sears their conscience for so long, it's hard to get saved. But with God, all things are possible, right? The Bible talks it's hard for the rich man to enter the kingdom, but with God, all things are possible. For a rich man it's harder for a rich man to get saved than a camel to go through the eye of a needle. And so the rich person But he said with God, all things are possible after that. So if the rich person gets saved, then maybe the narcissist, even though they've lived their whole life using and abusing people and projecting their stuff onto somebody else, maybe they can get born again. I hope this helps somebody, because this will help you. So take your time. Let's say they spend a month or two gaslighting you, future faking. And then they have to go to the next one because they see you as an idiot because you believe the actor or the actress that was on the other side. And they go to the next one, and then they forget what you talked about, and they start to mix this one with you, and you realize what the game is. You realize it's a player thing. They're players, and they see people not as human, but as objects to use and abuse, and they don't care. And if you don't protect yourself, it's shame on you. Shame on you. Fool me once, fool me twice, fool me 3 times is really fool me once, fool me twice, I'm done. But if you go back a 3rd time, it's a whole new ball game. It's on you. You can see it. I just showed you. I don't think I've ever heard any narcissistic teacher talk about this, but it's really easy to see because they have to follow a pattern, because everybody has a pattern in life. So let's imagine that's 2 or 3 months with you, and then you get discarded or dehumanized, and then they do 2 or 3 months with this one, and then they want to come back to you to keep you from real, because they see you going away because you're silent, or you might be talking to somebody else or whatever, and they're scared you're going to leave because they're building their harem, right? The queen bee fortress, the flying monkeys. So if you leave, they have to come back to you and talk to you again and pretend like they're with you. But you catch them talking about stuff that they talked about with this one, and you go away, and they have to run back to this one, and then this one over here is getting ready to leave, so they have to run to this one, and they forget what they said to you, and they said it to them, and they get the names mixed up, and they get the places mixed up, and everything. And that's why they play the same game. They go to the same restaurants, they follow the same pattern, because they know if they do the same game with this one and this one and this one, it's easy to remember what happened. So when you take them off the beaten path and you say, let's don't go to this restaurant that you picked, let's go to this one that I like, and it takes them off of their script. So their script has to be the same with each one so they can remember what they said to you, and it still ain't going to work perfect. And if you take them off script and say, come here and do this, they can't do it because they're following a script, because they're trying to get some supply, if you want to call it that, prey. It's really a prey, and they're trying to keep everybody in this little box that they live in. And it's really easy to see. If you really do some thought experiments, it's easy to see. That bird on that roof, it follows a pattern. This guy next door follows a pattern. His dogs follow a pattern. Everybody follows a pattern. And if you pay attention to their pattern, they're going to do the same thing with the next one. And that way they don't lose. Yeah, remember we went to this restaurant? Yeah. And that's why they got to take pictures. They got to have memories, because when they want to come back to you, they got to look at the memories and remember what they did. They went to this place with you, so they're going to go to that same place with the next person. And they just repeat and rinse and repeat. And if you get away, it makes them mad, and they want to know are you seeing anybody else? Why does it matter? I'm doing my thing. Why do you care? You're the one that's acted crazy and ended this thing. Why does it matter what I'm doing? You ended it by your actions and behavior. Why does it matter what I do? You didn't respect me enough to keep me around. So who cares what I'm doing? You pushed your supply away by being evil, and so it don't matter what they're doing. Long story short, you got to tell yourself the truth, and then you got to have it embodied in you. So you just put your hand here and you say, wham, it was fake. Wham, it was fake. They're not real. They're actors. It was all fake. Wham, 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 wham. I've seen it many times, and I hate to say it, they even do it in a marriage. It's not even a dating thing. They do it in marriages. And for somebody to do that in a marriage, before God, a vow before God, they just disregard a vow before God. You think you can trust that person? I don't think so.